But you see, then I got another young boy, it was only a few months ago, and he'd just come out of prison. He was about 6'6", a pull-through. There was no meat on him whatsoever. And I think he was about 20, 22. And he just walked in, they just come into A&E, and there's probably nothing wrong, they just give it, say, I've been vomiting or something. So they called us, and he sat in a corner of the psych room with his hood on, it was a hoodie, and he'd got his hands over his ears and his knees up to his face, sitting on the settee. And I said to him, are you okay? And he wouldn't answer me. I said, look, I can't talk to you when you've got your hands over your ears. He was slightly behind with his education, the way he was talking. And I think that was probably why, because when I asked him why he kept his hands over his ears, he said, because they shouted at me all the time in prison. I said, when was the last time you had something to eat? He said, and he perked up, and he said, 4 days ago. So I said, okay, let's go down to the restaurant, you have something to eat, and then we'll talk. And so he came down to the restaurant, he was fine. And then when he came back, I took him to the discharge lounge, and the story was that he was released from prison a few days ago. The outreach teams were supposed to have met him. Once you're in prison for more than X amount of years, well, he was in for 2, and you have to, they're supposed to find him a place to live. But nobody met him, so he found his way down here. And I said, so what do you want to do? So he said, well, I'd like to see my mum. And so I said, well, where does she live? Ireland. So I said, that's okay. When was the last time you saw her? He said, years ago. I said, well, didn't you live at home? He said, no, I was in care. So I thought, okay, well, fair enough, you still want to see your mum. So we got him changed. We got him a ticket back to Ireland, up to Holyhead, and then he got the boat across. And I gave him my card because I was slightly worried about him. I said, what would you like to do? And he said, I'd like to do market gardening. So I said, well, you could do that. You're a big, healthy chap. Once you get over to Ireland, surely your mum will help you find some work. But I said, here's a card, I'd like you to ring me when you get there, or in a few days' time when you've settled. And he actually did. And his mum had found him, I spoke to his mother, and she was going to get him a place, because I presume it's a bit easier to find a place. And she said he was going to have a look for a job in gardening. So that was a success story. But he said, you've made me feel I can look at myself and be quite proud.